Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm Ken Somerville, your host, and my co host, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. And guys, just to let you know, Andy's got a new radio and TV series coming out. I
You
think
would have to
starting
tell
next
him, huh?
Monday. But let's get away from that because they can all go to your website, sign up for the newsletter, and find out when, where, and what channels. But today, Andy wanted to talk about how to save 50% on your water bill over the next 2 years. But Andy, this is something that a lot of people want to know about. How the heck do you save up to 50% on your water bill? Now, is this for just for the garden or for how?
No, it's your whole property. Your whole property, right? Your whole property. And it's really, I decided on that because just this week alone, every day, somebody comes up to me, so how much should I turn down my water, right? But can you come to my house and just turn down the water and everything be fine because you're using too much water? So I go to this place in Port-Wanimi. They had 900 trees, lost 300 of them. They said enough. They got me, so I'm rescuing the other 600. And the main thing is there's a lot of water running off, right? And it runs off because the soil doesn't hold water. There's no soil. It's really super hard clay stuff. And so they say, well, they maybe if it's watering, and what happens is either one or the other. So usually they either water a lot, they don't care, they have a lot of money, so the water runs down, or they water quite often, very little, like 5 minutes every day, 5 minutes 2 or 3 times a day, right? So, but the water still runs off. And so water changing, I was just thinking just today, reducing your water does not simply mean lowering the amount of time on your sprinkler system. That's not the only way. That you can't reduce your water that way.
Okay, so you're saying it's not just a matter of, like, if you're normally running your sprinkler for a half hour, putting it to 15 minutes, that's not really what we're talking about. It goes much deeper than that.
What happens is if you did that, you would lose your trees. Your trees would die. Everything would just die. Say, oh my God, I was watering. I reduced the water. What's the problem? Because it's not. If your soil, the biology in the soil, and the soil was totally functioning, if you had that amount of water, if you had reduced it to half, it would be fine. Everything will survive just fine because it uses whatever water it gets. It holds it.
It doesn't run off. It actually soaks in.
Slowly gives it back out again. And it's really deep water. See, so I wrote up something here. Let me see if I could do this. I have to preset. Preset. Share a screen. Okay, I got the screen. Oh, and then it's a window here somewhere, right? Oh, there is a window. Oh, I love doing this. Okay, there you go. See that, guys? You see that?
I do. Lily community. Do you guys see what's on the screen? You should be seeing it anyway.
That took me 3 days to do that one slide.
And that's just because there's a drip there, and you got focused on that drip, and it
How did you know that, man? I had a video. I could have done it. I could have done it as a video. So I'm still learning how to generate this. It's kind of cool. So this is basically because I wrote a book on how to water trade your lawn, and that was like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And so in those days, water wasn't such a big deal, but you still, if you overwater, you're still going to kill it because, they were still using junk in the water, right? Toxins everywhere. So it kills the biology. And next thing you know, your lawn is not looking really good and you're watering a lot. So I learned how to do that a long time ago. Anyway, this is and still have a living soil. Okay. I had fun with that. And that's what we want. We want to be able to, the real goal is not so much reducing water because that hits you in the pocketbook. You say, okay, I got to reduce water because I'm paying so much. The real goal is to have a sustainable living soil.
Yeah.
That's the real goal. Unfortunately, you have to maintain it. In the old days, right, Mother Nature did it. Nobody maintained it. It took care of itself, right? It has very sustainable living soil. So that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
So I like this. This took me 2 days right there of stuff. I had to place it.
It's because you were
That was
trying
right.
to drink off the water coming out of there, Andy.
Right. So
You're taking the screen.
I thought about doing some artwork, and you're gonna see. You're gonna love. I have an avatar and some worms that are going to be coming up soon. So
Cool.
what we have to do is we have to promote the soil biology is the main thing you need to do, because if you have a living soil, you're going to find that your water use is, if you actually water too much, is very bad for your living soil. So you have to learn where that water requirement is a little bit here, like I was telling the lady today. And the other thing is, you just can't say, I'm going to water this amount and leave it year round. So throughout the year, you're going to have to micromanage your water output. So when it's fall and it's raining and it's really cool, you don't have to water nearly as much or as often. So the trick is also is a little compounded too, because people water every day. 5 minutes every day they water. So what happens? You have shallow root systems for the grass. The grass doesn't have shallow roots. Most of your plants, that flowers and stuff, will have shallow roots. Your trees. So if you water your trees that way, your trees will have shallow roots, the top feeder roots, and the deep roots will suffer. Eventually, your tree will die.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Say yes. Say see. So I kind of put this together a little bit about for people to understand that water conservation is right now it's in the minds of people because climate change and a lot of other things that come with fires, that come with the water management. So but what people really need to understand is that it's not really water management; it's soil health management.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what we're really talking about, soil health management. That means that here you have a patient, because that's what you have to look at it. We're gardeners. A gardener is really basically the doctor, and the soil biology is our patient. And so that's what the key that we're going to is we have to basically start looking at it as a body, and we have to look at it as a way to say, okay, you have to be aware of the condition of your soil. And most people have no idea. I made a mistake. It should be a period there. What your condition, your soil is, and I got comma. Oh my God! I made a mistake. Please forgive me. I made a mistake. Don't hit me. Oh, sorry. Where? Okay, right. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I've been moving, man. I went to this place with 600 trees, and I went to another farm. They both have the same problem. One's 15 acres, and the other one's like maybe 6 acres, 5 acres. 300 families crammed into these condos, and all these trees are everybody wants a different thing. Anyway, so but this and they have no idea, right, of what's going on around them outside.
Yeah.
And that's an issue, because if you was to say, okay, again, both of these places, you would not find not one single, I was saying not one single earthworm, but what happens when I start spraying? See, my liquid has earthworm castings in it.
Yeah.
It so happened because I have earthworms, and liquid washes everything down. It also brings down the castings too.
Mm-hmm.
And my device does not crush them. And nothing I use will hurt the earthworm castings. One of the things I'm noticing on my backyard, when I dig up, worms are showing up. And I also notice that other places that I go to, not only worms, but also mushrooms are growing because the mycelium is starting to grow, right?
Yeah, well, and you can't have those higher life forms if you don't have the lower life forms, the bacteria, etc. That
Exactly right. Exactly right.
You're creating a living soil, spraying using the compounds that you're using, and having the signs of earthworms and mushrooms, brother.
That's it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. Most people go, "Oh my God, there's mushrooms growing," or "Oh my God, this is going on. There's an earthworm. They're destroying my yard." I go, "I think you got it backwards, lady. This should be applauded. This means that the soil is waking up. The things are starting to be alive there, and that's what we want." And so the other aspects of saving water, of course, is you need to go through your home and how you use water there. And because the shower heads, water efficient shower head, low Gray water can be used. Just utilizing those things in the house alone will save you 25% of your total water bill. It's just having a low flow shower head, toilets are low flow, right? And of course, your sprinkler system should be low flow, whether it be drip or low flow. Just those things. And of course, the leaks. People have massive leak. One lady was like $3,500 a month water bill. So when I turned on the water, I was hearing this river, right? And I said, "Where is this river?" And the river was underneath her stairs that was leaking.
Yeah.
And so when they fixed it, she reduced her water by $1,500, which is what 45%, 30% right there.
Yeah, which is really nice. And that's one of the things that people don't consider is the ground shifts, especially in California, where you have these minor earthquakes. The ground is shifting and you need to check. So, there's a variety of ways that people can check their system, but just having a pressure gauge on the end, and charging your system. And if the pressure gauge doesn't come up, somewhere there's a problem.
Yeah. I want to answer Penny Pebble Ripples. Penny Pebble or Ripple. Penny Pebble Ripples. That's like Starbucks. What is it? Bonsai Buckaroo. Yeah, Bonsai Buckaroo has this lady called Pretty Penny.
Okay.
Pretty Penny. And this is Penny Pebble Ripples. And she says she has to buy special soil starter soil just to avoid having problems. And special starter.
Andy, she's having issues getting her seeds started. No, I'm not sure if this is a garden seed or a cannabis seed. So a combination of everything. She's thinking of, going to a more conventional approach. So how would you answer her question, brother?
Well, there are a couple of things. Sometimes it's the obvious. You have to make sure you have good seeds.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I've bought seeds and I'm going, this is not starting, and it's not me. You know what I mean? So I would say, well, sometimes the seeds could be there for years and years, and then they die in the packaging, or maybe something was wrong. So you always have to take that into account. Secondly, you don't really need compost or rich soil. As a matter of fact, that's a detrimental. The seeds do not need that. They have everything they need in their own little system right there. So you have to give them a neutral environment. That usually means having some kind of slightly acid pH environment for them to grow in. That's why I like, for example, there are lots of different. It's not a compost, but they basically sell it for azaleas and gardenias because it's a 6.2, 6.4 pH, and it's basically some type of wood that has been ground up into a nice fine texture, and it's a sterile environment. You can grow your seeds in there without having to add anything to it. They also sell organic potting soil, which is a good one, but a lot of them have fertilizers in it, so that's going to deter the seeds from coming up. You want to have a clean place that they grow without anything happening. You let them get started. Once they start growing, the other thing is that you don't mention whether or not you put them in a nice greenhouse environment or slightly warm or whether it's cold. So a lot of seeds are genetically geared not to come up if the temperature is at a certain level. If it's cold, they won't come up, or if it's too hot, they said, "No, I'm not coming out there." So you have to literally start seeds in a controlled environment where you can keep it at maybe 70 degrees, right? And you want to give it also. You don't want to give it city water. You want to filter the water out. So if you're giving it city water, you're killing it right away. Right, that's not because the seeds it's just stripping the outer layer of the seeds, and it won't start.
Yeah, because guys, you have to understand there's biology on the outside of the seed as well as the inside of the seed. Now, Penny, I know one of the problems is the cost of seed starting mixes. You don't need to do that. You just go buy the cheapest dead soil or cooked soil. So soil that's been ran through a furnace. It's going to be your cheapest soil out there, take that soil, make sure this doesn't have big hunks, make it 70% moisture water content. So put water in until you can squeeze the soil, just a little bit comes out. And then I'll give you the perfect trick to add the biology specific for your plant that you're planting. Is if you're buying a seed package of, say, lettuce, buy 2, and you're going to want to plant 1. The other one, you're going to want to do a seed start so that they sprout, and what's called spermulation. That's when your seed pops open. It's going to spray out biology and nutritional components that the plant needs. You take the sprouted water, and that's what you use to water, to make it that 70% water content. What you're doing is all the biology inside that seed and all those nutrients for the fresh plants, you're adding into that soil. So you're creating exactly the life that is going to attach to that plant to feed it and make it grow, and all the components for that healthy seed start. So raw soil, okay, so nothing else in it, no fertilizers, nothing. You just want blank soil, okay? And then the seed start, water that you have, pour that in, and you're going to be golden. Andy, you want to say something, brother, please?
Yes. One addition to the soil thing. So what I would do is actually put the soil that you decided to use, put it in the oven, heat the oven to 400 degrees, put it in there, it'll sterilize it. So I make sure that the seed's not going to have any problems with anything going else, because if it has some other type of disease in the soil, the seed will get it. It'll get nice and sterile. You can use it that way, and then you'll see, right, and the seed more likely to grow. Also, too, you can also, it's like making sprouts. So when you make sprouts, you soak the sprouts in clean water. You don't throw that water away. So you can actually, it depends on what kind of seeds you have, right? You can actually make like you're making sprouts, because you can sprout them and then plant them.
Well, the only problem I find with that, Andy, is once that seed pops open, it's spraying out all its biology and nutrients into that water column. But that water column is going through your entire soil mix. That's where you want to put the seed in and sprout it in the soil, because then when it pops open, all that biology for that plant is right there and held around in that soil right there.
Right. What I would do is take the water and use that to water the plant with. See?
Yes. Well, that's why I'm saying take that sprouted water, and when you're moistening the soil to that 70%, that's what you want to have that mix in there. Right. And Andy, that cooking it in the oven is perfect. Like up here, I'm able to buy soil that's been ran through a blast furnace, so it's been put through that, kill everything in it, kill all the biology, all the seeds, etc. in it. But yeah, that's perfect to take the time and do that, especially for your seed starts.
Yeah, I have a seed.
The reason that your collected seeds that you're collecting yourself are doing better is because your seeds, and I know how you grow, it's being grown with the biology. It's so much stronger and healthier to start with. A store-bought seed, a lot of them aren't growing organically, so they don't have the same biology and the amount. So that's one of the reasons that your home seed is going to be that much stronger, because you're growing it with biology.
One of the shows we're going to be doing, and it just came to me, it's going to have to be on seeds. I have a seed bank. I've had seeds since 1970 from every vegetable you can think of from around the world, including what. And these will last you forever, and you have to learn how to start them, how to get them to grow. And so that's a little bit of a trick, because you actually a lot of seeds won't start unless the conditions are right, unless everything's in the right place for it. And that's
the same with Mother Nature, man. Like your seed isn't going to sprout until that ground's been disturbed and is moist enough, etc. It's got to meet those qualifications to be able to sprout. So yeah.
Okay, so let me bring this back up again. So this, I don't know if I did.
Okay, hold on. Let me bring it back up. There we go.
So So this is this optimized water use in your landscaping. So that's what you have. I call it sustainable practices. So what you have to learn is don't throw anything away. You want any grass you cut, any weeds or whatever you're cutting, you shred it. A lot of times you really want to keep the plants growing. The more roots in the ground will help you. So forget about trying to classify. Oh, that's an awful looking weed. They're all wonderful. If it wants to grow there and it wants to hold water and provide for your soil, why not, right?
Yeah, and those
Right.
weeds are medicinal plants for the soil, and we can learn what our soil is missing by seeing what weeds are actually there, trying to regenerate the life and nutrients in the soil.
And one of the things that I learned a long time ago, keep the water below ground. If you can keep all the water below ground, you're not going to lose any of it for evaporation,
Yeah.
right? This evaporation could be as high as 75% of the water evaporating. That means it goes up into the clouds, and not your soil, not your plants. So a drip system is good. Like this place over here has drip and sprinklers, and they don't work well together. So you compromise and you say, okay, let's work on the soil, bring in compost and mulching it over. Learn to pay attention to the soil on a regular basis. Micromanage your water system. You can't get better sprinkler heads that now this was done 40 years ago when water was an issue. Now when you go to the store, you can buy sprinkler heads that automatically conserve 45% of your water, right? So if you was using
Cool.
you're using 20 gallons, you put these sprinklers, you only use 10, and you get the same results. But if you really want the same results, you have to have the soil available to grab all that water, to grab
Yeah,
it and
exactly.
hold it and use it. Otherwise, it goes, I can't breathe. I got
Well, and that's where
water.
you're dealing with that hard packed soil where the water's hitting it and just running off. Where once you have the life and once you have a little bit of loft in that soil and the water can go into the soil, it just you don't have the runoff anymore, and you can monitor how you're doing by do I have runoff after my sprinklers on?
So the soil becomes hydrophobia. It cannot hold water. There's
Yes.
nothing
Yeah.
there. There's nothing there. There's no siphon structure. There's no living organism saying water. No, there's nothing there. So that's why the live compost is the key to everything, because we have interfered with Mother Nature's composting process. She does composting all the time, whenever we let her now, right? So
Yeah.
in your backyard, in your garden, in your property, you want to be paid. So turn on the sprinklers and see where the water goes, right? If you have runoff, then it's not staying there. And of course, the mulch is very important as well. Wood chips are fine, but they're called decorative mulch. It's a decorative mulch. I mean, it doesn't do anything to the soil. Maybe protect it a little bit from the sun, right? But it doesn't break down. So you want to get mulch that's already in the process of. I use a product on which I get from my friend Layton. It's called Fine Aged Forest. How's that for a name?
Okay.
Right, Fine, FINE, Forest. And you look at that, you go, wow. I would love to have that around my plants and on my roses. So that's what I do here now. I tell people, put on the compost, turn it into the soil, cover it with this Fine H forest mulch. See? And so if by doing that, and of course you still use your water, ideally you want to get clean water. Ideally you want to stop the water that you're applying now to your property. So it's as if you were drinking booze all the time, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
good. Alcohol is like any form of alcohol in your body. It's not good on a regular, continual basis. So that's what this is. It's a form of. It's like alcohol. I call it cocaine for the soil, right? For plants, because it really screws everything up. The worms go nuts. They can't survive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you learn as you go. So it takes you about 2 years to get into a rhythm of when to water, when to turn the water off. Watering at night as opposed to watering during the day, right? I see people turn on the system during the day and it's like, oh, it's the hottest time, we're going to cool it off. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Now that water just goes push up into the atmosphere.
It doesn't
Nothing.
work that way,
So,
right?
Penny, sorry, you're a guy, and Pruny, you want us to call you Pruny? Okay.
Oh, he's a dude.
Yeah, I'm a dude though. Call me Pruny.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Penny. I mean, dude, with a name like Penny Pebble Rippler, it's hard to just say if you're a dude or not. I can't tell because I don't see your picture. And
He says
offhand,
it's okay. I think he probably gets this on a regular
yeah,
basis.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Where I have to interview him and say, okay, tell me all about your name.
How
Okay, I
did
know
you
it
get
means
that
something.
name?
I know it means something, right? I know it's very important. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I get the feeling like food forest permaculture. We know what that's all about, right? We know that
That's
what's going on
Howie
there.
out of British Columbia. And guys, if you're not subscribed to Howie's channel, Food Forest Permaculture, check his channel out. He's got some great content on there.
Cool. Hey, what's his name?
Howie.
Hey, Howie, get me on your show and I'll get you on mine, okay? Go to the website, sign the newsletter, say I want to be on your podcast. Let's trade. I'll be on yours. I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We'll get out
Hey,
together,
let's
okay?
get back to feed the soil, okay?
So the whole process of doing this is learn how to educate yourself.
Yeah.
You have to start taking this stuff seriously because I don't know how you feed yourself, or I don't know what it is you do with your body, but you have to educate yourself both in your soil and your home and with your body and what you eat. So a lot of people treat their soil the same way they treat their bodies, right? They don't
Yeah.
seem to understand what's going in there, and then you have to go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Well, take this." He
Yeah.
never told you should stop with that chemical, stop with that product, or stop. I mean, a lot of these products are really. I mean, even eating organic stuff, because they have a plastic and everything now, pretty much plastic. It's a show that another show we're going to do because I'm studying more and more about this plastic. Oh man, it's everywhere, and there's a way you can eliminate it. And it's the same thing. I want to do another show. So we had a show not too long ago on the accumulators, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't know if I mentioned or not, but these accumulators, like herbs and medicinal plants, accumulate heavy metals. Like they accumulate silver, cadmium, mercury, lead, very, very, very heavily. There's been a study that came out that's showing all these herbs are toxic. They're full of metals, full of all different kinds of metals. They obviously are absorbing it.
Yeah.
So those are issues, and you'll find that these are issues that's also going to happen to the soil because the very same thing that's happening to where they're going in the soil. Where do you think these herbs and all these plants are getting the toxins from? Right, the soil. Right. So they're telling me the soil is so toxic that plants are now taking it in. They're absorbing it. I think they're trying to get rid of it. Right. I think they're trying to get rid of the metals. Right. Oh, we got
Well,
to
I think
convert
they're
this.
trying to balance everything back out the way it's supposed to be. But just to bring this up, Andy,
Yeah.
next live stream, you may be on panel if you wish. So,
Cool.
Howie, reach out to him, reach out to me. I'd love to have you on my on my conversations in Ken's Cafe too. Much appreciate you, brother.
I think food forest is such a cool name because to me it implies literally a forest of food. And I've
Yeah.
been interested in food forests for a long, long time because that's the way Mother Nature works. When I do a garden, it's like one big full food forest. Everything that wants to grow together will grow together, and so on. You don't have
Yep.
lines. You don't have
Well,
2 feet here.
he
Right?
said, I ate my first figs today. The video is up picking and eating them. So yeah, and that's the thing. Most people, they think of a food forest. They're not thinking every single plant on your property can be food, whether it's a flower, because you can eat flowers.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
you can literally have your entire property as a food source.
One of the things that I specialize in, I started in the 6th grade, was edible landscaping.
Yep.
That's the first, and as I talked in the 6th grade, I talked to my phys ed teacher. First, I wanted to do a vegetable garden. They said, "No, you can't do a vegetable garden because it's not phys ed." Are you kidding me? No, so you have to do home ed, and you can do a vegetable garden. So I did. I went into home ed. I ended up going to the principal. Says I want to grow tomatoes all around campus, growing on the
Yep.
edible landscaping. And the guy at first didn't like it, but then, cool, go ahead. and so, make a long story short, people will throw tomatoes at the cops and the teachers and all that stuff. So, yeah. So, but at least that concept was grow edible, because I still follow that concept. I like growing and eating 80% of what I can grow. There's certain things I wouldn't eat, right? Like that, like
Yep.
wouldn't eat. Oregano is kind of hard to eat as a green, but it's actually good. You can eat a certain amount of it. You can eat any of the medicinal herbs, even though they're better as a tea but and there are two, sunflower leaves. It doesn't really turn me on, but you can eat the seeds. So it's edible landscaping is really a way to go in terms of,
Yeah.
but that's food forest is, and who started permaculture? I almost have a food forest. Who's the guy that started? What was his name? He did the whole book on food on permaculture. I knew him, and my name, it doesn't come to me now, but and I bet you know who it is. Hello there. Look, he's not sleeping. The guys are
No.
sleeping. I'll be back in about a half hour. I gotta go to the bathroom. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bill,
Bill
Bill,
Morrison.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so he I don't know what we're talking about Bill for, but he did permaculture, and permaculture is permanent culture. It's really, really cool. And when I met him, was giving a lecture on how I follow the energy that flows through the property to my garden. And that's one of the things in permaculture. You want to see how the energy flows, whether it be water flowing through your garden, whether it be the wind blowing through your garden, whether it be how the sun comes up and goes down, and the light goes and goes. So all those things are energy cycles, and at the same time, you want to key into the strongest place on that property, and that's where you're going to find the strongest biology mix on your soil, because the soil also affects the energy flow. The way the plants line up, and the way all these things are growing around in a certain area, right?
Yeah.
It's a dead giveaway. So when I go to people's properties, and if I'm fortunate enough to, like I'm going to this guy that has 15 acres. So when there's something big like that, I immediately go look for the heart of the place and see what he has going. So he had a fire, so to see if everything got destroyed. But usually those places are so immune to everything. The fire just goes around, and you see this patch of green growing and where everything got burned. You go, well, that's the spot. So
Yeah.
I practiced that starting in 1970. I was doing that for people, vegetable, organic. It's better if nowadays everybody should have their own garden. Everybody should learn how to grow. You go out there, you pick your meal, right? Right now, the gophers and the squirrels picked my meal, and they don't give me anything back. It's okay, I understand.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they want their share, and they're not willing to share.
So I got here. Soil biology needs your care, and they in turn will keep your plants and trees and whole property happy and healthy. And that's the basis of my business. It's basically I'm like a nurse for your soil, right? And
Yeah.
but in the end, you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your own body, right? And your own property, your own soil. It's not your soil. When you die, somebody else will get it, whatever, but the patch of land that you are attached to at this time, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you have to pay. And it's kind of interesting because even gardeners, even farmers, having the faintest idea not all of them, but I mean, there are a lot of farmers that just go out there like mow and blow kind of guys, right? They have no idea what they're doing. They're rotating, they plant. It's nothing to do with soil biology. It has to do with what kind of fertilizers you feed it, what chemicals you spray. So
Yeah.
and that's what they're growing with, that kind of energy. So it's no wonder that the food is totally unedible.
Well, yeah, and like you're talking about heavy metals and stuff like that. If you have that kind of stuff, if you have bad soil, use accumulator plants, and we've talked about this before, to draw up all that stuff. Get rid of that first season of stuff. The next season, a lot of that stuff is going to already be pulled up, and you're going to be able to consume that and not have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, when I have my, like this place here, I never pretty much eat anything I plant on the very first time. So what I do is, like, I know radishes like to grow. I know one of the things that there are certain accumulator plants that I know really grow really fast, and then you don't have to really eat them. Like nasturtiums, they go nuts. They really
Mhm.
take off, and you don't have to. You just make a pile of them and let it go back to the earth, and let the earth deal with it. But but I didn't realize that my favorite herbs, right? They're also accumulator plants. I know they did, but I didn't know they were accumulating heavy metals and toxins and mercury and all that kind of stuff as well. But that makes it a little bit like, okay, so now we can't do the herbs. Maybe this is just a ploy by the powers for us to stop doing our herbs.
Well, then that's a possibility, but we hope that they're not doing that. But like, yeah, we just don't really know what they're doing, why they're doing it. Uh, I hate to say that there's conspiracies, but yet we see it all the time. So it's really hard not to say that, this stuff is going on. But
So, so in order to, so for me, what I take from it is that you really have to be involved with your. So I go out to my garden and I spend probably a quarter of my time out there.
yeah,
That's the goal. I'm there a lot. I'm looking at it and see, okay, why? And I know that the soil was hydrophobic to begin with. We talked about that a long time ago, that it was just a road in the back, and it would not hold water no matter what I did. And I can be adding compost to it. If you can't blend it in, it'll still be there, it'll still be hydrophobic. So I haven't solved that problem yet. And I'm thinking of going towards container plants. But what grows really good are the herbs and flowers. Lots of different kind of flowers grow really good in this particular environment. So I'm experimenting to see if just because they're growing, they may change the structure of the soil and everything. Because I do see more worms popping up. So
well,
that's
and then that the structure in your soil is being changed with those worms coming in.
right, right. And I have seen a little less of the gophers because my philosophy is the more biology in the soil, the less of a gopher problem we're going to have, or the less of
Well,
an
and
ant.
the gophers, ants, all of that stuff. But once you have the balance, because you look at it top of an ant hill, and I've got some on my property, so I was actually looking. You don't see any organic material left in a large circle around that ant hill because they're grabbing it, pulling it down, and eating it. Where in the soil that's good, I have some thatch in my grass. I've got some organic material, so that's part of it as well. You can't have biology if you don't have organic material.
No, you do want that. As a matter of fact, that's part of the problem because the people have been telling the gardeners keep it clean. One guy says,
Yeah.
"I don't want to see a leaf on the ground." And I'm going, okay, and he's paying money to have it hauled away. Big giant
Yeah.
farm, and they produce tons of this stuff. A big bin. No, not just a garbage bin, but a big one that they pay a lot of money with. The big truck comes and takes it away.
Yeah.
And I'm that close to getting them to buy a shredder,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that close to telling, okay, you have chicken manure, you have rabbit manure, and you have horse manure. So, why don't you just grind it with the rest of this other stuff and inoculate it with biology and then put it back out again? That's the goal. And that is going to help change the structure of the soil because this is one of those places.
Mm-hmm.
The guy says, I'm spending $3,500 a month on water. We need to cut down on the water. But you don't just turn down the water, especially during the middle of summertime when everything needs more water or it's going to die because it's never been planted in that kind of environment. I mean, when they was planted, it was only 3 years ago. But when they planted it, they should have brought tons of soil, put soil down at least everywhere, rather than just dig a hole and plant into this non-soil structure that's there.
Yeah, and
Right?
the dead soil, the dead dirt that was there, they don't have soil, they have dirt.
It's
It's
not even
dead.
dirt. It's not even dirt. It's like hard clay. It's like rock. It's like hard
Yep.
clay. You can't scratch it. You have to try to hit it with something. It's like, holy cow. It's like, right? So they dug a hole in that.
Yep.
First of all, you know what happens is there's no drainage down there. So these things are going to have a hard time getting water. They're lucky that the water didn't go down because then it would be sitting in water. Even with the rain, all the water runs down. Very little ends up in there. As if they designed it on purpose. They're lucky because they would fill up and it would drown. I've had other customers, the same thing happened. What's wrong with my plant? And it's drowning. I said, it looks like it's drowning. Why is it so wet? And it's because we dug a hole and planted it in clay.
Yep.
Right. So, but it takes a while. So at this farm, what I have to do is say, okay, all right. So you brought several truckloads of Latham's compost and you put it everywhere, but you put it on top. It doesn't do anything for the layers down below. These are structural changes. It's going to take you a while. It's going to what has to happen is you have to change your methodology, your methods of doing things in order to have the soil change. So instead of every time you cut the grass, you get a mulching mower instead of picking it all up and throwing it away. Every time you cut anything, leaves or whatever, you grind that sucker up, you make it into compost, and you start adding it down around the plants on a regular basis. This is not something like today. I was at this place. Can we stop adding compost now? Lady, you should start it. You haven't gone through the whole property yet, and then you're going to have to do it again. And every year, twice a year, you need to be adding compost and mulch on a regular basis. And it's like, what? And they haven't done it they've been there for 40 years. 40 years. They started with 900 trees. They're down to 600. And now they're not going to lose any simply because I've been doing a triage with the trees, spraying them with the biology and the trace minerals, soil soaking them at the base, hitting the trunk. The base is not, the soil around the base is not going to just say, oh, wow, have some place to grow it. No, there's nothing there. And so and they're way behind on putting compost. The places that was done, I don't know if I could do this.
I just want to mention that to people, like, guys, Andy's getting these people to start making their own compost so that they don't have to buy in the future. And that's where you really have to look at the long term for what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the mulching mower, I know I bought one a few years ago to make sure that I'm not removing that organic material. So that's one of the keys. And Andy's got it perfect. He's getting these guys trained to make their own compost so they don't have to keep buying it all the time. That's where everybody can be doing that has the time and the capability.
Everybody in Malibu, and I'm pretty sure everywhere, unless even if you live in a condo, but in a condo, you don't need to worry about composting and mulch because you have container plants. So you can do a little bit of a worm farming, tiny little things to feed your container plant. But if you have a property, you can have a little compost setup. It could be a tumbler, which is really cool. You don't really, but for bigger places, you really go by the pile. You make a big pile of stuff. You do not throw anything away. As a matter of fact, you get out of the habit of, a weed, pull it. So the owner of this place comes and visit. Oh, I can help you pull out your weeds. I go, thank you. Thank you. There are no weeds in my garden.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Hi, Super Nessie.
Yep.
And it's wonderful that you guys have growing things, that because it takes time. You have to be there years to get the soil prepared and keep it alive. I know the places I lived in Florida on a 1,000-acre farm. I was there 10, 15, 20 years. So first few years, it was one of the things where you fought with the guy who had a plane to come spraying chemicals. Oh, I thought I was doing you a favor. I'll spray your house and your garden. No, don't come over here. And so, and there was no biology there. There's absolutely nothing. So I did raised beds. I started making compost. By the second year, you start finding worms. By the third or fourth, so imagine you'd be there 20 years. It gets better and better and better and better. And I was even feeding some avocado trees in my little area there. They made a big difference. And that's what I would feed. That every place, any customer that I go to, in my good old days, I would say, well, you're gonna need. I would make my own compost and go put it in there, do it, turn it over, mulch it over, and then I didn't do very much telling them. Okay, I should say this is what you need because I didn't start telling them this is what you need and why you need it until recently. In
Yeah.
the past, I just say you need live compost and mulch, and you have to take care of the what, blah blah blah. I'll do it for you.
Yeah. Well,
So
and that's the thing. Back in the day, you could do it, but now, Andy, you want to retire and be a radio star? I mean,
I've been retired for 15 years already, man. I've been retired for, literally. I've retired for 15 years already, and right now I'm working harder than I ever have because everybody has this problem. I had a meeting with Malibu Chamber and Pacific Palisades Chamber where a lot of people's homes burned down. This guy has 15 acres of fruit trees plus his house, and he has
Yeah.
a faint idea what to do about it. So lots of people are trying to recover, right? But their places are toxic. So this is an ideal time to start the project. Start bringing in compost and let the compost clean up the soil because they take away a big layer of it. So what you bring back is very important, right? Right?
Well, and actually, that leads right into what Farmer Cheryl had to say here. Is there a way that the
Yep.
I think I glitched out there, but is there a way for the urban environments can give back through food waste to the farms that provide their supermarkets with the produce? So far, the farmers are using biocides from urban environments. Isn't that right? And that is right. There's a lot of stuff that you don't want to use.
Biosolids. Look at it this way: biosolids is really sewer sludge. They're calling it biosolids because it's a much friendlier name. They the whole compost that with cities have come a long ways because they would say sewer sludge. People go, oh, sewer sludge. I'm not gonna. Okay, let's call it biosolids. Oh, sure. Okay, great. Biosolids, and it's not. And so you don't want to use. And there is a way because if and they do that now. Lots of places, like for example, San Francisco is leading that. There are lots of restaurants that are organic. The companies come and deliver it to this one company that makes compost, and then they deliver it to the farms and everything. There, even the restaurants, because a lot of restaurants have a big garden in the backyard. They can't make compost, so compost is a good business. Yeah, like here where Layton works is called. I'm not giving it because it's a commercial,
Yeah,
but it's a local place that basically I've known for years, and one of the setup is earthworm, so they have earthworm castings. They make earthworm juice. They're a really good compost company, a really good soil company. Because over here, like any city, anybody's making compost is taking the biosolids, which you almost get for free, and add a few other things. So what this one company was doing was adding urea to it, so that you add it to your plants, and woo, right?
yeah. Give them the cocaine. Yeah.
Yes, right. And they would add rice to it, a few other things to it to blend it a little bit, but it's so. What was I talking about? Who are you? What am I doing here?
Well, Farmer Cheryl wanted to know if there's anything that we can do to help, and is lots of cities with programs that they're picking up the organic. It is going to a processing facility.
So you need to ask the city.
Good that processing facility is going to be.
That's the question.
That is an interesting question.
That's the question. So you need to call the city, have them tell you if there's a program. Go actually visit the program. Let me see what you're doing. If they're making it more toxic, you go no. If they're actually know what they're doing and they make a clean, healthy compost, yeah.
And the only way to know if it's a healthy compost is that put it under a microscope and see if there's life in it. If you don't see any life in it, it's a dead compost. And there's probably a lot of biocides and pesticides in the compost that are going to wipe out the biology that you want to promote.
Right. So the compost industry has gone through major loopholes. It's not as well regulated as in other words, OMRI does not apply to compost.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, and compost is one of those accumulators because that's what you're doing. You're accumulating whatever it's in there. It's more and more of that. And the ideal compost, you're accumulating the biology, but nowadays the compost could be you're accumulating the toxins. Biosolid happens to be a perfect example. Human waste is a big problem all around the world, what to do with it. and a lot of people are going to be converting it, thinking that this is good money, and they sell it to people not knowing that they're getting something that's really toxic. In when they there was a company called
And Cheryl, I have no idea what biocides look like under a microscope. But if you see life, if you see, and we've had lots of guys on the show, under the microscope. If you don't see any life, then there's probably a chemical that's been added in that's killing the life, or it hasn't been processed long enough. Most of your compost is going to be half decent if the person doing it has any knowledge. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that are doing these compost facilities have no knowledge. All I know is herbicides, pesticides, etc. So if you can figure it out, community gardens that have their own are making their own compost, but talking about giving it back to the farmers, it's a hit and miss with the companies.
Right. So the only real way is for you always know your farmer, always know who's making the compost. Ideally, it would be a good organic farmer that's always making as much compost as he can, and it's easy enough to buy. I would also look into mushroom growers. There are lots of companies. There was one company called the Magic Mushroom, and they sold these organic white mushrooms. Man, their mushroom compost is absolutely amazing because it's sterilized so that the spores can grow, and it's full of the right biology. You can add that to any soil that you have. You'll be surprised at the results. That's one of the things I would look at because it's available pretty much anywhere in the United States. Anywhere there's mushrooms are growing, you just look up organic mushrooms to eat and who sells it nearby. And they'll tell you, if it's a local company, that's what you want to do. You want to go to them. Can I please buy a mushroom compost? Now they don't sell it to me. They sell it to this company that I told you that sells the bagged. So I found it in a bag, the mushroom compost, which is unfortunate because bag it in a, I think they heat it up and they actually may kill the biology more by putting it in the bag because it's sealed. So I'm going, what happened to the mushroom? It's like compost because if it's alive, you put it in, it go poof. It'll pop up. So something happened. Maybe they heated it up and changed it. This is too bad. I think since they have a system of sterilizing their pile, I think that's what they re-sterilize it again and then sell it.
Well, yeah, and then they're killing off the mycelium by using the heat. They're killing. That's why you sterilize the substrate for a mushroom farm. It's to kill off all the biology, so the biology of that particular mushroom you're growing populates whatever you've got. So if they're after the mushroom blocks are coming out or however they're making it, if they're re-sterilizing that, all it is basically organic material. It's not going to have the life in it. It's just going to be back to dead, and part of that organic material is going to be used up from the mycelium using it to create the mushrooms. So it's always better if you can get it,
so I get it. So when I go to this farm, when I used to go to the farm, I remember opening up the barn, and you see a big giant pile with steam coming out.
Yeah,
a big giant pile, maybe quite a distance in, much taller, 7, 8, 10 feet, and that's how they make it. So I always wanted to go there when it was full of mushroom before they harvested. And that's the stuff that's really amazing because you can add that to any kind of animal manure, and the two bind together. I used to add rock dust to it. My favorite thing is to inoculate it with my spray mix because then I would plant it on something, right?
They just go nuts, yeah.
So that's what you want to do. You want to incorporate into your property a way. That's why I would do a worm farm for starters. If you have a property, do a worm farm in the corner. Get really good at that. You're going to find that was not going to produce. Not only it will make you. This is the secret towards the end. I should have said, you want to know a secret? Wait until the end. I won't say anything. I'm going to sit here and be quiet until the end.
Okay, it's the end. Now you can talk.
And that's what, and you have to find a way to, because there's toxins coming in. So you want to have more biology coming in than toxins.
Yeah.
That's why a functioning farm is so good, because they have animals that constantly pooping, constantly providing more and more biology. So you have that function going on. So if you have a property and you don't have a farm, you want to have a earthworm farm, smaller miniature farm, that if you take care of the worms, like right now, I got maybe 500,000 worms, literally, because I bought 10,000 to start with, and that was just a handful. It was in the bag, 10,000 worms. Ugh. And they're going to double pretty soon. And eventually, I'm going to take some of the worms, put them in the ground, because I see them more and more coming up. I know the ground is not ready yet, so I'm going to keep working on it. But I keep introducing more and more biology. Start a worm farm. Get really good at that. Use the liquid, and then you have this soil compost, which is very, very rich, which you can then maybe put it. So there's this product that made out of clay, goes in the ground. You put your little soil biology in there, you'll be surprised how that area will just take off, because the biology live in the clay. They inhabit the clay. The mycelium inhabit the clay, and then the mycelium expands out. There's a recent article on how mycelium can extend your lifetime, because mycelium is one of the main things that makes medicine. It makes all kinds of things for us. So it's interesting. We need mycelium in our bodies, and need mycelium in the soil, and that's what you want. You want to key it. I even top dress with spent mushrooms. There you go.
Yeah,
that's what you want to do, because that's how you get mycelium in your body, and you want as much fresh source of mycelium in your ground. Yep. In your ground, you can even go out and buy mushroom spores and get them started, because that's when they, like Paul Stamets, they sell all kinds of really cool edible mushroom spores that you can grow.
Paul Stamets.
Did I say Ed?
You said Simmons, like Gene Simmons, the musician, but no, it's Stamets, Paul Stamets.
Right. And so, How the Mushrooms Can Save the World, excellent book you should read. So you want to get started. You want to have mushrooms go popping up everywhere, earthworms popping up everywhere. You want it so alive that you can actually back off a little bit and say, okay, let me know when you need me for anything. Otherwise, you leave it alone, and it will. So you have the clean water. There's a very wonderful water filter that I'll give you a link to. So you want to control that, because the junk in the water is very, very bad. You want to have good compost coming in all the time. Make it a wholly safe place. You'll be surprised how well that place, even the neighbor, if he was using toxins, it'll overflow up to him too.
Yeah.
Did I say enough? I go over time.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left, Andy. I'd like to remind people, and I mentioned it earlier, Andy's going to be on his own radio show, and I guess they've got some TV channels as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to be putting that out in your newsletter, I believe.
Right. So sign up. Come to my website and sign up. And now's the time, because when you sign up, you can send me an email through the newsletter and say, click here for the email. And I'm giving you away my Don't Panic, It's Organic ebook, my alternative natural pest control, alternatives to chemicals ebook, the ebook on remineralization of the earth, the ebook on bricks and bricks level. So you're not going to find any of these books except here, the ebooks, and they're free, because I just send it to you through the email.
Now, I do want to get to Ming's question here before we end, Andy.
Well, there's
what kind of rock dust you like for worms or soil?
Just remember that it's there are many different kinds of rock dust, and some of them are not very good. So most rock dust are not a good source of calcium, but there is a rock dust source, Southern California. It's called Agramin, Agramin, in Southern California. It's made from alluvium clay, 30% calcium. So you take a little bit of that, you feed it to the worms. So the azomite and all the other rock dusts are available.
Are you feeding it to the worms, or are you feeding it into your compost to let the biology break it down, because the worms eat the
I don't have a compost pile, so I give it a little bit to the worms as they go. That's my compost
a little bit, yeah.
But if you have a compost pile, you always go through your compost and you give that to compost to the worm. I don't have a compost, so my worm bin is my compost. Yeah, I don't put food in there other than to feed it. So I sprinkle. If you have to be real careful because you. As a matter of fact, I don't even do it every week. I may do it once every 2 or 3 months, just a little bit. Especially when I do the layers, just a little bit. Because if you add too much rock dust, you kill them all. Just a little bit too much. It's called trace minerals. It's always better to go to your compost. So Layton's they add rock dust, and so does Michael's they add rock dust. So I don't really have to add any rock dust, but I have so much of it. I thought maybe I can sprinkle it, but I may change my mind because it's very easy to add too much.
Well, and this is one of the things that Leighton says is don't be a moron. Remember to maintain the balance. We think we as human beings we have it in our head. Well, if a little bit is good, more is better. But that's not actually the case in Mother Nature. More is generally throwing things out of balance, and you're killing your biology and you're killing your worms. But guys, that's it for the show.
Hey,
So
cake in the cup, you're late. We're leaving now. Cake in the cup.
He makes it at the very end of the show. You're gonna
Yeah,
have to
we're leaving now, buddy. Nice to see you. Anyway, good,
right,
good,
guys,
good try.
The ladies are on tomorrow. Hold on, let me see. I just want to bring up what they have as their title for tomorrow. And this is Chiropractic is Sexy.
Oh, I like that. I'll watch that.
Why isn't it coming up? Come on, let's see. Here we go. What's your health credit score? So if you guys don't know what your health credit score is, or if you've never heard that term, the ladies are going to be talking about it tomorrow. Should be starting around 10 a.m. Pacific. So you guys are going to want to check that out. You can go onto the channel. It's all about the biology. Make sure you're signed up, and you can put on the notifications for that show for tomorrow. Guys, we will see you then. Have a great day. Andy Lopez, love you, brother. Great information as always. So peace out, everybody.
Bye.